Thank you so much. It is an honor to be here in California again. My name is Kent Hovind. I taught high school science 15 years, and now I travel and do seminars on creation, evolution, and dinosaurs. This is not my wife. It's just a picture of her. I've 3 kids, got them all married off, and the dog died, so I made it. I'm home free. And I have 2 grandkids, and any moment now I'm going to have number 3, and then in about 5 months I have number 4, so we're collecting grandkids. I'm a founder of Dinosaur Adventureland in Pensacola, Florida. It's a science center, theme park, and museum based on creation instead of evolution. We've had thousands of visitors, over 33,000 so far in the first 2 years we've been open. We teach a lot of classes on science. We are not against science. We have a have a creation boot camp in September. Teach people how to be good creationists, to go out and fight against these guys who believe in evolution. So we need more people doing that. My goals are to present the truth and expose error. I'm not against any particular theory. I'm against lies. If you have a theory, great. If you're going to use lies to support it, that's not great. So my goals are to strengthen the faith of believers, to win the lost to Christ, and to win Michael Shermer to Christ. Okay? He is not the enemy. He does work for him, but he is not the enemy. Okay. All right. Let's define a few terms here tonight. Science is knowledge. It comes from the word to know. Okay? Knowledge gained by observations, experimentation, testing, study, etc. Okay? Some try to limit the definition of science like we heard tonight. They want to limit it to the natural world. If it's not natural, it's not science. Okay, well, let's just follow that logic to its logical conclusion. The operation of the world can be understood by scientific discoveries in the world. That does not mean you can explain the origin of the world by looking in the world. Okay, example, the operation of a computer can be understood by science. It all takes place in the computer. There's nothing magic about a computer. There's not a little man running around in there changing the numbers on the screen. Okay? It is a natural explanation that you can find in the computer for how the computer works. There is not a natural explanation in the computer for how the computer originated. You had to go outside the computer. Somebody outside the computer built the computer, okay? Somebody outside, beyond, above, greater than, smarter than, the computer had to build the computer. And just because you can explain the operation of a machine does not mean you can explain the origin of the machine with the same set of rules. So, religion is a set of beliefs concerning the cause, nature, and purpose of the universe. I'm going to define a few positions here. I take the position that the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate. The earth was created in 6 literal 24-hour days about 6,000 years ago. Now, if that's true, I call our ministry Creation Science Evangelism. I think the scientific evidence supports the creation view. A good test for science is, does it make predictions? Okay, based on the idea that the earth was created in 6 days, 6,000 years ago, there are some predictions we can make. The Bible says clearly he did it all in 6 days. Well, let's make a few predictions. I predict the universe will show evidence of order and intelligent design. I predict there will be thousands, if not millions, of symbiotic relationships. All the plants and animals were created within a few days of each other. And there are millions of these that depend on different things for different reasons. Symbiotic relationships, I think, defy an evolutionary explanation. I predict there will be limits to the variations that life forms are able to produce. The Bible says they bring forth after their kind. You may get a big dog or a little dog, or a wolf or a coyote or a dog, but you're going to get the same kind of animal. Now, somebody might decide to call it a new species. Okay, I'm not using the word species. It's the same kind of animal. There are limits to the variations. Any farmer that raises anything from corn to cows will tell you there are limits. Sure, there's varieties, but they're limited. Okay? Lots of dogs in the world might have had a common ancestor. A dog. Okay? I predict, based on, that does not prove dogs came from a rock 4.6 billion years ago, by the way. Okay. I predict there will be a purpose to life. We were designed for a purpose. I think I know what it is. Based on the assumption, we can make some predictions that there will be non-material things in the world like love, sense of justice, mercy, innate knowledge of right and wrong, a conscience, and absolute truth. Those things can be found. They do exist. I predict there'll be a way to find the will of the Creator, such as messengers speaking for Him, or maybe even a book telling us how He created it and why. I predict there'll be an afterlife where we face the Creator to give an accounting for everything we've ever said or thought or done. That's going to be a fearful day. Then I believe, before the flood came, the Bible teaches people lived over 900 years. That's what the Bible says. 912 is the average age from those before the flood. I believe that. Now, what predictions can we make based on that teaching? Well, I predict there will be legends of a creation event in cultures all over the world. I predict there'll be a golden age legend where people lived a long time. And it's interesting, almost all ancient cultures have stories about what they called the golden age, when people lived to be nearly 1,000. I predict there'll be skeletons found showing people with signs of great age, such as bigger brow ridge or bigger jaws. I predict there'll be biological problems today, like wisdom teeth for 40 or 50% of the population, indicating man used to be bigger and now we're smaller. So wisdom teeth are getting crowded into the jaw, and in some people they can't make it in. I predict since we are a copy off 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 a copy of the original, there are likely to be a few biological problems with this generation. But that's no reflection on the original. The fact that this gene code has been copied and copied and copied and copied and copied from Adam, it's amazing we can sit here and talk about it. Okay? It must have been really good in the original. I predict there'll be a universal longing for things to be restored to the Garden of Eden. And that's what we find every place. Just about every culture has some kind of legend or story about a heaven where you get to go. Now, what difference does it make if you believe in creation or evolution? Well, if evolution is true, how do we tell right from wrong? Where's the standard? How do we tell right from wrong? Do we decide right from wrong based on what Osama bin Laden thinks? Should we decide right from wrong based on what Bill Clinton thinks? Should we decide right from wrong based on what the majority thinks? How is there a standard someplace? How do we tell right from wrong if evolution is true? Now, if evolution is true, death brought man into the world, and death is a wonderful thing. Death is the hero of the plot. See, in order for evolution to work, one animal has to evolve a little better than the rest. The rest of them have to die, or else that new improved gene gets swamped in the population. Doesn't do anything. Death is the ultimate hero of the plot for evolution. The Bible teaches clearly that man brought death into the world. By one man, sin came into the world, and death by sin. Since by man came death. The Bible talks about man destroyed God's creation. I predict, according to the Bible, I read the Bible, it says there was a flood, a completely worldwide, universal flood that destroyed the world 4,400 years ago and dropped everybody's property value to zero. Based on that belief, I can make a few predictions. I predict there will be hundreds of layers of strata, rock layers and mud layers, strata, sometimes continent-wide layers of strata. I predict there will be billions of fossils, including coal and oil, found in those layers. I predict there will be huge canyons and deltas showing evidence of rapid erosion because of the flood teaching. I predict there will be legends of this worldwide flood found in cultures all over the world. And sure enough, there are nearly 300 of these flood legends found from around the world. I predict there will be petrified trees in the vertical position running through many of these layers. And sure enough, there are thousands of them. And here we have people trying to teach you that each of these layers is a different age. Would you please explain to me how we get a tree petrified connecting all these layers? I don't know how long dead trees stand up around here in California before they fall down, but in Florida you get maybe 5 or 6 years. If you're going to have a tree stand there for millions of years while the layers form around it, I'd like to see that, okay? Anybody telling you those layers are different ages has a problem in his thinking, okay? Now, I like science. I'm not against science. And I do resent, though, people trying to assume that evolution is part of science. Evolution is not part of science. Evolution is a religion. It's mixed in with science, I understand. But that doesn't make it part of science. Beer is often sold at football games. Beer has nothing to do with football, and beer does not become athletic by association with football, okay? So, and evolution does not become science because it's stirred into a science book, okay? Evolution's a religion. Now, let's define a few terms. The word evolution has at least 6 different meanings or levels or stages. First, it would have to be cosmic evolution, the origin of time, space, matter. Secondly, there'd have to be chemical evolution. According to the Big Bang Theory, the Big Bang produced hydrogen. Okay, then how did we get all these elements? Do you want me to believe that uranium evolved from hydrogen? They'll say, oh yeah, fusion happens in stars. Well, you got 2 problems now. Number 1, you can't fuse past iron. Number 2, you got a chicken and an egg problem.